Hi, everybody. It's coming up on 10:02 right now. Please give me a thumbs up. Let me know this is coming through loud and clear. And please let me know where you're watching from. I want to get this conversation going as we are tracking a lot right now going on in the weather world, including a major heat dome that's going to have major implications, not just for intense heat across the United States. Of course, that's one of the biggest risks we ever encounter with weather is heat. However, this is going to have bigger implications than that, and the fact that we're going to have some storms out of this in some areas of the United States. We're going to have wildfire risks and drought concerns, and this is also going to leave the door open, so to speak, for tropical activity because it's going to slack up the wind shear and it's going to prevent troughs from digging down and steering systems away from the United States. So we've got a vulnerable window ahead that we need to watch closely, which actually coincides with a very active tropical time frame. So I can't stress enough, we need to stay dialed in on this, and you know we are. Let me show you what's happening right now because we have this big dome that's building in. It is quite comfortable out. The humidity is in check across much of the East Coast, but as we move into Friday, Saturday's time frame, that's going to begin to change. You'll notice the temperature's cranking up a little bit, especially by Sunday with not much rain. I've got the rain superimposed over top of the hot temperatures. Anybody in pink, at least this purplish pink, is above 100 degrees, and the pink is 90 degrees or above. It is just going to be really scorching hot for most of the United States beginning on Sunday. Notice the rain chances are well suppressed to the south. That might actually be from a tropical system, which will steer right around that ridge of high pressure. Underneath this ridge, no rain. And that looks to be the case for the Carolinas as we are going to be locked into dry weather for the next 10 plus days. It is going to be really, really dry and really, really hot. In fact, as we look at this heat dome, it looks locked in. It may migrate a little bit from time to time, but it is locked in to where it's going to steer any storm system, tropical or whatever, around this big ridge like this. And when you have a ridge like this, you have sinking air in the atmosphere all around this high pressure in here. But on the outskirts of it is where the ring of fire is located. It separates hot air from cooler air. It's also the track for upper level energy to roll through. So it is going to be very stormy in this setup next week for the Northeast, New England, up through New York, down to Washington, D.C. It will be very stormy with risks for severe weather. Probably the stormiest weather part of the New England has had all season long. As for the rest of us, the heat, it's going to build. As you can see, as we go through tomorrow, we've got the triple-digit heat back toward Texas and Oklahoma. As we look toward our area, we're still in the 80s and 90s. Not too bad all the way through Saturday, but by Sunday, we're up to 90, which is a bit above normal, but that heat, it's building back toward the west in the center of that dome. That dome shifts east, and by Monday, we're at 94. It does not stop there, folks. Look at this. We're pushing 100 degrees. This is not a heat index. This is what the European model is showing would be our actual thermometer temperature at 100 degrees in Greenville. 103 in Oklahoma City. Notice much of the United States at or around 100 degrees. That's bad in a couple of ways. Not only is it going to be really, really oppressive and dangerous, heat waves can kill, but it's also going to make the drought situation worse. And yes, we do have a drought across the area. This increases wildfire danger. We are entering what is normally a drier time of the year anyway. So as we move into August, we would like to drink up any kind of water we can get because September is usually very, very dry for us unless we get a tropical system. We have a level 1 dry monitor for the drought here from Oconee County, basically all of Lake Keowee, Lake Jocassee, stretching back into Raven County. It's not unheard of kind of dry conditions, but it is certainly that back toward the west. In the Central Plains, down to Texas, you've got wildfire concerns in these locations because it is just so dry, and I don't see this slacking up. Thankfully, there won't be a whole lot of lightning in this area in the coming days to ignite many fires. However, we're going to need to look toward the tropics that could change this. And in fact, that's just what the models are showing, an active pattern there as well, with something cropping up later this weekend. Whether it be a weak tropical wave, maybe even a tropical storm, we will need to watch this closely. Anybody watching from the coast right now on my channels, let me know where you're watching from if you can. And of course, if we don't live at the coast, if you're in the Western Carolinas where I live, then of course you know somebody that's at the coast. You vacation at the coast, so we all have care and concerns for what happens on the coast. And in this case, it looks like we're going to have, I call it a friendly tropical system. It does not look to be a strong one, but we need to watch it closely. And we now have added areas by the National Hurricane Center. This just in, showing several areas that we need to watch. My, oh my, oh my. Okay, let's start with what's first. We know that we are going to see this wave originate somewhere in here in the next 24 hours. It's going to make its pass over Cuba and Florida through the weekend, where it's not expected to develop in this area. There's just too much land interaction, not enough slacking up of the wind shear. However, once it gets in the Gulf right here, it does have a window of opportunity to develop into a stronger tropical system, likely a tropical depression or a tropical storm, okay? We need to watch that. I've got models I'm going to run on that, but then we're going to get back to these three areas. So we have 4 areas in the tropics that are becoming more active right now, with a 5th area in the Pacific, which could strike the United States and California. Wow, we've got so much to look out for here, and I'm concerned that we're leaving the back door open when that ridge of high pressure is in place next week, and you have 4 areas chalked up and ready to go, with a 5th about to move off the coast of Africa. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start with this wave moving into the Gulf this weekend. Remember, I showed you it's not really expected to do anything until it gets deeper into the Gulf. Right here, it's just a big slug of moisture. But early next week, it does kind of tighten up a little bit as it moves toward Texas. Either way, Texas is likely to get quite a bit of rain. That's going to be the main impact here going into next Wednesday. And as you saw from that drought map I just showed you a few moments ago, they need the rain. Here at home, wow, what a pronounced high-pressure system. This is the heat dome setting up, and you got this track like this that would lead to storms in this area, big-time storm risks right here on the northeast quadrant of the ridge of high pressure. And other than that, you've just got really, really hot conditions around that. Rainfall totals with this, again, somewhat beneficial as this moves through Texas. Thankfully, those models have brought back this stalling out and keep it from doing that. It kind of moves along its way with around 2.5 to 4 inches of rain, which is certainly welcomed in those areas. Big goose egg for us in the Western Carolinas, Tennessee, as we are smack dab in the middle of that dome. Again, right in here. That's that dome, that heat dome brought to you by our high pressure. All right, let's look at Hurricane Hilary, a monster. It is now a Category 3 major hurricane tonight. Folks, this is a dangerous storm creating some significant waves off the coast of Mexico right now. This is going to impact some resort towns as it moves toward the north and eventually moves into southern California. This would be the first time they've been impacted by a tropical system since 1997, and if it actually makes landfall over California and not Mexico, it'll be the first landfalling tropical system since 1939. There are a handful of storm systems to compare this to. We don't have a lot of data on that. The models are doing a great job at getting a handle on this, but you've got a monster storm moving into cold water, so that's going to cool it down strength-wise, but it's not going to stop it from producing a lot of rain. And unfortunately, that's what these models show for areas like Los Angeles, as far inland as Vegas, up through San Francisco. A serious amount of rain in the desert in a short period of time is not good news. That could lead to some significant flooding. You also combine that with wind, you've got downed trees, you've got landslide concerns, and you've got areas that are dealing with burn scars right now in parts of California that don't want to see flooding rains because there's no vegetation to soak in that rain. That rain just slides right off the mountain and traverses on down. Look at the rainfall totals with this, a significant system. I mean, it is a Category 4 hurricane before it weakens. And look at this, parts of Los Angeles could deal with 4+ inches of rain. Folks, it's not normal to get that much rain in this location. That goes into Nevada, where the desert could get 4+ inches of rain. Again, not normal and not ideal, and we'll have to keep watching for next Monday, Tuesday, especially for California and Nevada. What we do not want to see is anything get into the Caribbean or the Gulf at this point. I can't stress this enough. If there's a decently organized tropical depression or tropical storm that gets into this area, it will rapidly intensify if the conditions are right above head. Okay, so we've got to watch this, especially because we're seeing signs here that there are at least 4 waves and 4 areas the National Hurricane Center is mapping out. One there, one there, one there, and one there. 4 areas that are generally moving this way. All right? You can probably chalk these 2 up to being fish storms. These 2 need to be watched, okay? And if these 2 do not come to fruition and become anything, what they're doing is they're carving a path in this dry air. And you can already see that happening. If you remember yesterday we tuned in, I'll draw where the dry air was yesterday. It's eroding. So basically these waves are renegade out ahead of the main lines, and they're causing some areas to have a path carved out for them, okay? So here we are with multiple waves to watch. You got this first wave, 98L. It's moving toward the west, and again, should remain a fish storm, but I will say there's a more pronounced model spread here with many of the members kind of keeping them south while a lot of them still keep it north. That's worth noting because when you measure this out from model to model, you got a 900-mile spread at the end of this. Okay, there's a big difference in if these model tracks down here pan out versus these down here, okay? This would be a fish storm. This could be more of a threat. All right, that's not the only one we're tracking. We've also got Invest 99L, and we have another one the National Hurricane Center is looking at, and very likely we're going to get a named storm out of one of these as we go into the overnight hours. Okay, as expected. Okay, this is not out of the ordinary. But here we go, again, needing to watch this. I don't like how close this gets to the Lesser Antilles. We're watching it for our friends in the islands in Puerto Rico, okay? But this one, too, looks to kind of steer up and around this ridge. It should be more of a threat to Bermuda versus the United States. Let's look to see if anything gets in these areas I'm telling you about. We need to watch them closely because I do see some concerning signs from our European model here that as we get into next week, we've got a very pronounced wave that is moving into the Caribbean that all of a sudden jumps north, okay? So Puerto Rico, this could very well be a tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane as it jumps north Monday into Tuesday. All right, we've also got our wave, if you remember, back here. Okay, that's what's moving into Texas. Probably a tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm, okay? Then you got other activity that's moving in, kind of meandering around right there, with it looks like another wave right there by next weekend. So there we are, 1, 2, 3, with another pronounced wave coming up. Simply put, we're going to blow through some names in the coming days, and we're also going to have many days where we get some threats, some threatening storm systems, okay? So here we are with the GFS model. Let's map this out again as well as we advance it through. Another wave moving into the Gulf next week, according to the GFS model. That could become something as it moves toward Mexico, and Texas could get a second round of rain. You got another wave popping out in the Caribbean. While there's nothing much else going on in the Atlantic, you've got something kind of trying to scoot off the Carolina coast right here. Kind of meandering in. See that? That's a little too close for home. Right there. And you got another wave coming off the coast. So again, a lot to watch, a lot that I'm monitoring right here, and you know that we're going to keep you posted all the way here through hurricane season. That's my commitment to you, is to when things get dicey, I'm going to keep you posted. And of course, you see above my head there, we've got multiple areas that are being highlighted right now that honestly we need to keep an eye on, because as we move forward, monitoring the Gulf and the Caribbean, of course, are some of those sneaky systems that try to come in close to home, and others that are deeper out. So we're going to be watching it for you. What do you guys have for me on this Thursday evening? Are you ready for the weekend? We're almost there, getting ever so slightly closer to that, and it looks like a gorgeous weekend either way you slice it. We're going to get some heat that's building in for sure. And thankfully, we don't have tropical mischief right now. But that does look to change as we move forward here. And Gilbert's watching. Hello to you. Hi, Lynn. Good afternoon or evening, I should say. Rachel says, I'm tired of the heat, ready for fall in Gaffney. I tell you what, I'm ready for it as well. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, a shameless plug, if you will, go ahead and follow me on YouTube. Some of you are watching on YouTube right now, but a new way to keep up to date for folks. It's one of those situations where YouTube reaches another generation, and I want to be there. I want to be everywhere, on your TV, on your devices, and here at WYFF4, we're going to keep you safe when it comes to severe weather. So if you haven't followed me or subscribed to me on YouTube now's the time to do that. I'll keep you posted on all severe weather threats. Stay tuned, everybody. I'll keep you posted and hope